I love going on to the Miiverse and reading people's comments for the games that I've personally played myself and giving out little hints to help gamers through tough situations. But something that I see in a lot of younger gamers that annoys me is that people are running into problems with games and they're not even trying to solve the situation on their own. They're running to the internet and asking to be told step by step what to do. This is a world with a lot of resources that will help you gamers get through your problems. All you have to do is put forth a little effort to learn the solution to your problem, and you won't have to run to the forums asking obvious questions with obvious answers. A lot of gamers will get into situations like, how do I pick this up? Where do I go next? How do I jump? How do I select this weapon? So many things that the game would tell you if you read what the game was telling you. Things that you have to do in the game are said by the NPCs in the manual that comes with the game, online on walkthroughs, on YouTube, in videos, in the comic books in Nintendo Power that told you what to do, in Nintendo Power, in the articles, on videotapes made by Nintendo, on the Nintendo hotline. Now I understand the last few things I mentioned in the rant don't exist anymore, but you still have YouTube and Google and a whole ton of walkthrough websites that tell you exactly what to do. You don't have to run off to the forum to complain about stuff. And in game, even if you don't have the physical booklet, a downloadable copy of the booklet should be someplace. And if you don't read the booklet, there are tons of NPCs that you talk to that tell you what the story is and help you progress through the game and tell you what to do next and where to go. The problem is, as soon as NPCs start talking, you go, whatever, blah, 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 and you zap through the text and you don't even read it. A lot of other stuff you could discover by actually pressing the buttons on your controller. Questions like, I'm playing Legend of Zelda and I just got the Pegasus boots, how do I run? Should not be a question on your mind. You should be able to discover this power on your own. Questions like, I'm playing Super Mario Bros. 1 for the NES, how do I fly? Should not be a question, because you should know that power didn't exist that far back in the series. But let's break off from the rant of things and look at games in the timeline. Now here's what I think ruins the gaming experience for people, is that anyone born in the year 2000 on up is accustomed to what I call the Navi effect. That means that there is an NPC character who follows the player around and constantly tells them what to do. You come to a door, the NPC character comes down and says, listen, to open the door, press A. When an enemy attacks, the character comes out and says, listen, if you want to hit this enemy, target using this button and press that button. When you pick up a new item, it says, congratulations, you just got this item. If you press this button, this item will do that. You know, games today are full of either tutorials or characters who repeat the tutorial information every single time you encounter things. There are always characters in games that say, to open the door, press A. To open the chest, stand next to it and press A. To use this weapon, select it and press B. You know, these newer games are full with characters that just say the very same thing that would have normally been in the booklet. Back in the 80s, games didn't tell you anything. They just dropped you in the game and let you start playing, and they didn't give you any story, any information, any explanation of how the buttons worked. You had to read the booklet that came with the game to understand what the story and plot and how the weapons worked and all these other things. The other problem that I see from games that came out of the 2000s on up is that someone who plays Ocarina of Time as their first Zelda game will go back and play Link to the Past, and they'll get the bottle and they think, okay, I'm ready to go out and catch fairies now, continue with my quest. And they will never, ever, for once in their life, think to enter the house with the boy in the bed and talk to the boy to get the net. I have seen Let's Players enter that house and walk up to the boy, walk out of the house, and not even think to talk to him. Or even walk past the house without thinking to check to see if they've been in there. A lot of newer gamers that I see who upload videos on YouTube and so forth go through towns, don't talk to any of the NPCs, don't go into any of the houses, don't explore. They just want to continue with the story of the game and get to the end of the story without talking, without exploring, without doing half of the things that would tell them they're doing wrong. They just assume that because they have the bottle, they're ready to catch fairies now. That doesn't work. On the flip side, as an old school gamer who played Link to the Past first, I went through Legend of Zelda refusing to catch fairies with my bottle because I was waiting for one of the NPCs to give me a net first. And then I found out surprisingly that the bottle is all you need to catch fairies and you don't need that net. Kind of like how people go through Ocarina of Time searching for how to get the Triforce when they don't realize that the Triforce is already attached to Link's hand and you don't have to collect shards like you did in the previous games. There are always people telling you stuff and marking stuff on your map and explaining things to you. Even the fortune teller, if you pay him enough, tells you exactly what to do next in the game. The cryptic nature of the 80s era is over, and during the 90s a lot of games tell you what to do, but they still also have their companion pieces, the booklets, the comics, the Nintendo Power articles that further explain what to do. Didn't need characters telling you, oh, see that boss there? Hit him in the obvious weak point with the weapon you just got. You know, you had that kind of stuff that was assumed and you could figure it out without thinking too hard. I don't know if this conversation actually has a point. I just felt like ranting for a minute about how when a person encounters a rock blocking their path and they've only just started the game and they still have 3 hearts and their sword and they haven't even begun the first dungeon, they ask, how do I move this rock? That is an obstacle that you will eventually find a way around. You're not going to start the game and have the instant ability to move the rocks, go swimming, and do all of the things. The game would not be fun if it started you and gave you all of the weapons and abilities from the very beginning. These are things that you have to power up and learn as you progress. And the games have stories, they have hints, they have things built in them that tell you what to do. People should not be playing Super Mario 4 and having no clue how to activate the Green Switch Palace, and having no clue how to fly once they get the ability to use the tape. They should know from playing Super Mario 3 how flying works and how flying is still similar in control style in Super Mario World as it was in Super Mario 3. All of the little tiny problems people are having should not exist. And furthermore, people should not be asking these simple gameplay issues in their games or letting that ruin their experience, because all they have to do is go to Google, type in their question, and Google will answer it. Or better yet, go to YouTube, type in the name of the game and the word LP or walkthrough, and you'll get videos explaining what to do in the game and showing you what to do. You shouldn't have to run to the forum for every little problem. But I know that as time goes on, people are still going to ask stupid questions. Like, I have a bow but no arrows, how do I use the bow? Or, how do I get a heart container? How do I bomb a wall? How do I jump? How do I fly? How do I run? How do I lift? So many little questions that shouldn't exist, and no amount of ranting is going to end that. But maybe somebody saw this video and they either feel better that they're not the only ones seeing this, or maybe they heard my point and they finally understand how games work now. I can even remember seeing a kid in a game store trying to play a Mario game by holding the controller vertically instead of horizontally and not getting how it worked. I don't know, just it's the nature of new gamers to not understand old school games, just like it's the nature of an old school gamer to get lost and confused when a game becomes three-dimensional. Especially if you're playing something where the technology was relatively new at the time. Let's cut the rant off there. It's already too long as it is. Thank you for watching and good night.